So a lot of the speakers have talked about how to create web maps quickly or how to do large integration tasks between existing systems that hold data in different formats. And I'm going to try to focus on the method that I think is probably the easiest and in many ways the most practical at the moment for mashing up and passing geographic data back and forth from different kinds of systems and data stores. So it's really simple syndication, but you just add a geolat, geolong element to the end of your typical RSS feed. The cool thing about RSS, of course, is that you can aggregate different syndicated feeds really easily in most web browsers and in almost a million different kinds of applications. Another thing about the GeoRSS is that you can use very simple APIs like OpenLayers and others to automatically map the items that are in the feed that have the GeoRSS elements. So you just add a little bit to the picture and you get a lot more bonus. So this is probably very abstract for many people, but I just thought I'd show you what the actual spec is like. And it's very simple. Inside of the channel, you have multiple items, and in each item, you just have some kind of geolat, geolong, which makes it mappable and a GeoRSS. So again, similarly to read GeoRSS, this is an OpenLayers example where you just simply call the feed right here in yellow, which is this is reading it locally on the file system, and you can also read it from another host, but you have to possibly use a little bit of a proxy server because of cross-site scripting problems with JavaScript. It is doable. There's a lot of examples online. I'm going to show you a live version of this in a moment, but just an example of the OpenLayers interface reading the GeoRSS feed that I just pointed out in the previous code. Google Maps interface, I found something interesting, which is that the Flickr API has got a few things underneath the hood that allow you to pick the photos that have been uploaded by a particular user or within a particular set that have coordinates associated with it and map them automatically into Google, this is an example I'll also show you. Typically, when I'm talking about GeoRSS, it's an XML format, and there's a million ways you could create it, but typically the way I would do it is I just simply pass a query to my data store, which is MySQL, and just serialize it out into the format. And again, there's a lot of code helpers for that. However, another thing you could think about, and this is what we're thinking about in terms of how to get CGA, leverage CGA projects with IQSS projects, is to parse through existing, that's the Institute for Quantitative Social Science, parse through existing metadata repositories, which they've published in the forms of OAI harvestable metadata, and going through that, looking for the geographic coordinates that they have available in those OAI metadata elements, and then just simply transforming them or rewriting them to a GeoRSS feed. Essentially, we could map data that isn't in GeoRSS feed format and still bring it in as if it was a feed and syndicate it the way we would anything else. So this is kind of fun. There's just a couple of gotchas I thought I'd point out really quick. If you're using any kind of non-ASCII text, be really careful about trying to validate it or get rid of all the unusual, or escape unusual characters first. In my example, I had Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese in their native scripts that had to go through the validation step. So I tried to clean it as much as I can, ran it through the W3C validators first, and if it runs there, then you can try it in your browser, and if that doesn't choke, you can start going through into the GeoRSS readers. The pros are that it's really great, it's Web 2, So it's really simple to automate these steps and aggregate them in different ways. Most browsers read it. It's a standard, so it's OGC compliant, and there's a lot of generic APIs for it. The things that are bad are that you have to load the whole input file into the browser because it's basically JavaScript. So if you have a very long set of items, it's probably going to make the browser choke when it's trying to load the feed that it's reading. You should just know that in open layers, they seem to be deprecating GeoRSS and moving to vector-based representations. So I don't know if that's good or bad for the situation, but just to show you what they look like on a map, I had something in Chrome. So here's the example I made. So the Harvard Library had holdings of East Asian language newspapers. So I got that as the source text that I was using. Did this somehow freak out on me over time? Oh, there we go. Seems to be very, very slow. Oh, maybe it's better now. Okay, I'm almost done. So this is just an example showing you that I actually did get it to work with all these different languages, and these are live links back to Hollis Classic. Looking at Randy, will this work in the new Hollis someday?
Display it.
Okay.
Can't search right now.
But I could pass a query like this over to New Hollis someday soon. And then this is an example, the one I showed you earlier, where we can actually pull the. Can you view source here? I'm not too familiar with Chrome. This one?
If you right-click, I think, on the web page itself.
There we go. So this is actually the API I was telling you about. And anyway, it's pretty cool. You can just go and get a particular set or a particular user in Flickr and just use them as a GeoRSS feed. So GeoRSS is really the flavor of the day for exchanging your geodata as mashups. That's it.